Hello everybody. Today we shall study the chapter Nelson Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom. This chapter is an extract from the autobiography of Nelson Mandela, the first black president of South Africa. This chapter tells us about his famous speech, his journey to being a freedom fighter, the struggle, along with a tribute to other freedom fighters and countless people who fought for their freedom. In South Africa, a brutal practice named apartheid was followed. Apartheid was a form of discrimination. He fought against this practice. This lesson also gives us an overview as to how Nelson Mandela, along with others, carved their way to a society where there will be no discrimination on the basis of their color, caste, race, age, and gender. Nelson Mandela was born on July 18, 1918 into a royal family. No one in his family has ever attended school. Once in one of his speeches, he told that no one in my family had ever attended school. On the first day of school, my teacher, Miss Midigain, gave each one of us an English name. This was the custom among Africans in those days and was undoubtedly due to the British bias of our education. That day, the teacher told me that my name was Nelson. Why this particular name? I have no idea. This is what Nelson Mandela told in one of his famous inaugural speech. Nelson Mandela, the great freedom fighter, a South African freedom fighter and a political prisoner for 27 years, tells us his own saga of how he helped his black countrymen free of their apartheid chains, how the African National Congress started a war against the white people, started a war against apartheid system, and this long struggle began not as an individual importance, but it took as a national movement for the black. The autobiography also explores the theme of injustice and discrimination and how it ruins character, personality, not only of the individual but also of an entire race and nation. It upholds the idea of equality, love, and goodwill. In his speech, Nelson Mandela hails the day of the inauguration as the end of a terrible human disaster that tried to naturalize apartheid. He looks forward to create a peaceful society where all can live in peace, love, which comes natural to man. Discrimination or apartheid. Discrimination is the treatment or consideration of or making a distinction towards a person based on the group, class, or category to which the person is perceived to belong. These include age, color, criminal record, height, disabilities, ethnicity, family status, gender, identity, generation, marital status, nationality, race, religion, and sexual orientation. That is, you have nothing to do with the formation of the government. You are just part of the government, but still you don't have anything to do. You are segregated, you are separated, you see everything, but you are helpless and you can't do anything. By 1950, the government had banned marriages between whites and the people of other races and prohibited sexual contact. Asians was later added to it. In some cases, the legislation split families. Parents could be classified as white, while the children were classified as colored. Relations between black and white were completely prohibited. Under apartheid, non-white South Africans would be forced to live in separate areas from whites and use separate public facilities. Contact between the two groups would be limited. This apartheid system denied many things to the Indians, to the blacks, to the Chinese, and many people. This signboard clearly tells that danger, natives, Indians, and coloreds. If you have entered these premises at night, you will be listed as missing. That is, you will be killed. You won't be found again. Armed guards shoot on sight. This message is clearly written here that if you are found in and around this premises, you will be killed. Savage dog devour the corpse. That is, your dead body will not be found. You have been warned that they have already placed this signboard and it is understood that you follow their rules. This is a staircase. They had elevators also, but it was separate for blacks, separate for whites. Blacks were not allowed to use the public place used by the whites. Strict punishment was also given to those blacks who violated these rules. So it was altogether a segregation. Segregation between white and blacks. Blacks were denied all possible rights. They were not given education. They were told that what is the use of education when you have to labor out in the field. So this apartheid system or segregation completely denied human values. They were not given, could not nurture or inculcate a proper personality in them. A picture is more than 100 words. This picture clearly tells that you are segregated. On the right side, the blacks, and the left side, Europeans. Moreover, it's for the whites. You are not supposed to sit on the left-hand side. On this picture, we see that Europeans were allowed to use this bench, but not the black. This apartheid system lasted from 1948 to 1994. In 1934, white South Africans gained partial independence from the Great Britain. This led to the apartheid system. The definition of an apartheid system or practice that separate people according to race or color started from a long back, but it was listed as a law after a law passed by the white government. Whites were the minority in South Africa. Although many of the leaders were against violence, it played a large role in the apartheid with numerous riots. Nelson Mandela and F.W. Clark was prominent figures in ending apartheid. The election or the presidency of Nelson Mandela began on 10th May 1994 when Nelson Mandela, an anti-apartheid activist, lawyer and former political prisoner, was inaugurated as the president of South Africa. And this ended a long march and gained freedom. Freedom for mankind, freedom against segregation, freedom against apartheid system, to give values and dignity to mankind. The Long Walk to Freedom highlights the key moments of Nelson Mandela's life and his endeavors as the greatest freedom fighter for the 20th century. Nelson Mandela's amazing and historic life not only that inspires but also it educates a lot. Because of the terms of dignity and integrity, it becomes a part of us. This autobiography also tells the oppressions and the apartheid movements taken by the oppressed. The only memoir published during Mandela's life is this book, and it is worth reading. Thank you.